Good afternoon, friends, and welcome to the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League on Bell Aliant Community One. My name is Bill McLean. Great to have you with us. We are live from the TAC grounds here in Truro, Nova Scotia for Atlantic Senior Game of the Week, the Truro Bearcats hosting the Halifax Pelham Canadians. It's Kids Day here at the field as well, so we've been here since about 10:30 doing some shoots for East Coast Sports Show as well, and just a great day for the Truro baseball environment. They had the kids on the field going through drills and had the AAA team out shagging flies during batting practice. So a lot of fun here on a sun-splashed day at the TAC grounds. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous afternoon for baseball. So pull up a chair and spend the afternoon with us here from Truro. The Canadians will bat first. Paul Davey coming up playing left field. Greg McKinnon batting second, playing shortstop. Jake Pelham batting third, playing right field. Sean Peverell is your DH. He'll bat cleanup. Josh Pelham is the third baseman, batting fifth. Batting sixth is Sean Walsh, the catcher. Brandon McKinnon is the center fielder, batting seventh. Steve Murphy batting eighth, the first baseman. And Aaron Ferguson is your second baseman, batting ninth. Mark Haverstock on the mound for the Canadians. John Chapman is on the mound for the Truro Bearcats. Guy Pellerin is the third baseman. Tobin at shortstop. Darson Murphy at second base. Dan Bates at first base. Ryan Bates in right field. Jeff Chisholm in center. Adam Lombard out in left field. And Matt Mingo forms the battery with John Chapman. Your Bearcats defense. So again, great to have you with us. Contact information on the screen, B. McLean Sports on Twitter. We're going to have a fun day here at the booth, continuing on with this, or the press box, continuing on with Kids Day. Dan Hobson is going to have some local kids up here doing the PA announcing, and then Dan's going to come over and join the, do the play-by-play for you during the fourth and fifth innings on the webcast, and I'm going to jump over to the PA announcer's booth. So stick with us throughout the day for good times at this beautiful ball yard right in the heart of downtown Truro. And we are ready to play baseball again. John Chapman on the mound facing Paul Davey. Paul batting from the right-hand side and wearing number 7. He'll take a first pitch strike. We are off and running from the TAC grounds. B. McLean Sports on Twitter. Hope to hear from you throughout the broadcast. Let us know where you're watching from, where you're cheering for. A high foul ball. How to play down the third base side. And lots of kids still here from the great activities early on. So a lot of kids will be chasing foul balls from the great sites, of course. Ball yards across Atlantic Canada. A rotating schedule between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. And this week in Nova Scotia for a third game of the year in the Nova Scotia circuit. And we are off and running with a base hit for Paul Davey, a single into left field. Paul Davey on board. Here's Greg McKinnon as the shortstop. So Paul Davey down at first base. Last week, of course, we were in Kentville. Or 2 weeks ago in Kentville. Last week in Moncton. This week in Truro, and make sure next week you join us from beautiful Ironman Park. Adam Curtis will have the call there in Chatham for a doubleheader, the St. John Alpines versus the Chatham Ironmen from Ironman Park in Miramichi. Decent lead for Davey down at first, and swung on to left center. That might get down. It will. Drops right in front of Chisholm and Lombard, and strolling into second goes Paul Davey. So McKinnon, a single. Davey to second. The Canadians in business in the early going. Teasing some of the guys before the game on the Bearcats. We were talking to some of the Bearcats players again for East Coast Sports Show. And teasing them about keeping things clean here today between the Canadians and the Bearcats. Both teams, of course, they've had a series of altercations in the last couple of years, including some base clearing situations or bench clearing situations. There's Jake Pelham. Jake batting .378 this year, amongst the league leaders. The outside edge for a strike. .378 for Jake. 23 RBIs already. Pitch high and tight. Pelham with runners at second and first. Action this week on earlier this week. That's a hot shot down to third base. Pellerine will touch the bag. The throw across the diamond gets past the first baseman Bates. Getting waved around third, and coming home is McKinnon. There will be no throw. Comes late anyways. McKinnon will score standing up. So Davey out at third. And then the E6 on Pellerine as he threw across the diamond to try to get Jake Pelham. So an E5 on Pellerine. And coming home to score is McKinnon. And put Pelham down at first. He's the lone base runner now with one out. Just above the belt for ball one. Sean Peveril. Big swing in DH. A long time Canadian. Gets the break from playing first base today. High in the air to right center field. Ranging over is Chisholm. He'll settle under and make the catch for the second out and get it into second base. Staying will be Jake Pelham at first. So Peveril flies out to center, and now here's Josh Pelham. But again, action earlier this week, Sydney beating Kentville last night. So the Sooners, a 7-6 win. Very competitive league this season. All five teams looking very strong. It's our first time seeing the Bearcats. Pelham swings and misses. But so our last time, our all five teams now we've seen. And all five teams look very good this year. It could be a dogfight for those top four playoff spots. It's going to get past the catcher Mingo all the way to the backstop, and actually that hit Josh Pelham as well. So Jake at second, Josh at first. Now here's the sixth batter of the inning, Sean Walsh. Sean the catcher batting from the left side. Jake Pelham at second, and Josh Pelham at first. Chapman from the stretch to second base. Murphy up with it, and over to Bates for the third out of the inning. So Walsh out 4-3. That'll do it for the Canadians in the top of the first. 2 hits, 2 left on base, 1 run comes across, and 1 Truro error on Guy Pellerine. Murphy, Tobin, Chisholm, all coming up in the bottom of the first. You're on Community 1. Alright, to the bottom of the first we go. You're on Aliant Community 1, our continuing coverage of Atlantic Senior Baseball. This week we are in Nova Scotia at the TAC grounds in Truro for the Bearcats and the Canadians. 1-0 for the Canadians. Greg McKinnon coming home on an error on Guy Pellerine in the top of the first. So to the bottom of the first we go, and our first look at the Bearcats this season. At the plate, Darson Murphy. The second baseman, Mike Tobin, the shortstop, Jeff Chisholm, and Guy Pellerine, should anyone reach. John Chapman batting fifth, Dan Bates, Ryan Bates, Matt Mingo, and Adam Lombard rounding out your batting order here for the Bearcats. Here is Murphy, a long-time Bearcat batting from the left side, wearing number 37. A speedster from that leadoff position. First pitch from Mark Haverstock in there for a strike. Of course, Haverstock on the mound again today for the Canadians. He's one of the horses of the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League. Has a reputation for being able to throw a lot of innings for you. Also an outstanding defensive pitcher as well. He can really field his position well. Josh Pelham at third, McKinnon at second, Ferguson, or at short, Ferguson at second. That's back to Pelham, and right on cue, there's Mark fielding his position and running over to first. A little soft toss to Murphy. So Darson Murphy out 1-3, then here's Mike Tobin, the shortstop. Tobin, again, one of these great shortstops in the league. It's really the year of the shortstop in the NSSBL. Each team seems to have just an outstanding shortstop. Of course, the one team that's still kind of somewhat unproven at that shortstop position is the Pelham Canadians with Greg McKinnon. Ryan Bino, the longtime shortstop for the Canadians. There's McKinnon right on cue again. Fields it nicely. Throw across, and he'll get his opposite number. Opposite position, Tobin on the 6-3. Moving quickly, here's Jeff Chisholm. But again, that really is the year of the shortstop. Every team has an outstanding shortstop this year. They can all field and hit and run and make great plays for you. But Tobin out 6-3 on that play. Here's Jeff Chisholm. Got a busy day for these Bearcats. They were all out earlier today putting the kids through the paces. Haverstock. First pitch breaking ball, that's low. What a scene. About 30 to 4, that with 30 kids on the field, ranging from ages look like about 4 to 12. High in the air, down the first base line, and out of play. The dugout of the Canadians. But they had all the kids out there. They were doing hitting skills and fielding. Hooked them up into groups, and then after all the skill sessions, they gave them all a chance to hit, and a chance to hear their name over the PA as they approached the plate, complete with music and everything. It was really a great scene here at the TAC grounds. There's the pitch from Haverstock. Just off the plate. 2-1 on Jeff Chisholm. Should anyone reach, we'll see Guy Pellerine, or should Chisholm reach, I should say, we'll see Guy Pellerine. The 2-1 to second. There's Ferguson. And no problem for Ferguson. He'll get it across to Murphy. And Chisholm out 4-3. So, 1-2-3, go with the Bearcats. No runs, no hits, none left on base. We'll go to the top of the second with the Canadians leading 2-1. You're watching Atlantic Senior Baseball right here on Aliant Community 1, the leader in local sports webcasts in Atlantic Canada. Chapman goes out for his second inning. And Chapman, I'm talking to John before the game. There's a guy who had a season for the ages last year. He was the MVP. Was Mr. Do Everything for this Bearcats team. Talk more about John as we go along. Bearcats come in with a record of 5-4 this year. Made the playoffs last year again after nearly folding just before the season started, the 2014 season. They were able to save the team and have been building the program ever since. Here's Brandon McKinnon. Start at the top of the second. Brandon McKinnon, Steve Murphy, Aaron Ferguson. And should name one of each, we'll go back to the top of the order with Paul Davey. On the outside edge for a strike. 0-1 on McKinnon. Brandon wears number 37, bats from the left side. Just low and outside, 1-1. The 1-1 from Chapman. Swung on and missed. 1-2. Strike 3 called. McKinnon out on strikes. Caught looking on that outside corner. First strikeout for John Chapman. Here's Steve Murphy. Murphy, the first baseman. Batting from the right side, wearing number 6. First pitch from Chapman. Swung on to short. A chance for Tobin. Fields it cleanly, as he always seems to do, and makes the play effortlessly. Again, a smooth fielding shortstop is Tobin. So 6-3, and we're cruising along here. Aaron Ferguson, the second baseman. So again, talking earlier, this is a year of transition for the Canadians. Gone is Lucas and Vino, the second baseman and shortstop. They manned the middle of the infield for years for this Canadians team. Both just such solid baseball players. The 1-0, now 2-0 on Ferguson. But as I mentioned before, Vino was a guy who was just such a great athlete, could do so many things for you. And therefore, strike 2-1. And Lucas was that guy that you could just pencil in every year for a 300 average, 8 to 10 home runs, 20 to 30 RBIs. Such a consistent offensive player. The 2-2. Chapman a strike away from getting out of the second. Swung on to right field. A chance out there for Bates. Settles under and makes the catch. Nicely done for Ryan. And we'll go to the top bottom of the second in a 1-0 game for the Canadians. So no hits, none left on base, no errors. Bottom of the second we go with Pellerine, Chapman, and Dan Bates. All right, back for you in a second here on Community One. to the bottom of the second. Guy Pellerine. John Chapman and Dan Bates. And should anyone reach, we'll see Ryan Bates. Guy Pellerine again, the third baseman, one of these longtime Bearcats. Very consistent offensive producer. Let's pencil him in at that number 4 or 5 spot. And first pitch swinging, and that's going to get down in front and get past Paul Davey. Big Guy rounds first, and he'll lumber into second with a double. A leadoff double for Guy Pellerine. And Bearcats have their first hit of the game. And here's Mr. Do-Everything John Chapman. Pitches, catches, plays hits in power positions for you, steals bases, and also knows how to run a ball club as well. He's done an incredible job with this Truro team coming in last year. First pitch swinging and fouled off. Those two teams, of course, met in the semifinals last year. In the NSSBL playoffs, the Canadians would win that series and go on to lose to the Sydney Sooners in 6 games. Swung on and 0-2 quickly now on Chapman. We've seen the Sydney Sooners. We opened up with them against the Moosehead Dry, and they are playing good baseball for this time of year. Usually they're kind of a slow starting team, but they've got some wins already in the standings. When we saw them in Dartmouth, they were looking very, very confident as the back-to-back league champions. Decent lead at second. High pitch, that would have been in there for a ball, but Chapman on defensive mode fouls it off. So the count will stay 0-2 on John. RBI opportunity at second base with Guy Pellerine. Chapman and then Dan Bates. The 0-2 from Haverstock. Reaches out and punches it into right field. Now Guy Pellerine didn't get a good jump. They'll keep him at third. Chapman will go to first with a single. But the 0-2 pitch just places it into right field. And frustrated Mark Haverstock takes the ball back from Steve Murphy. Frustrated that he let Chapman get away on the 0-2 pitch. Back-to-back hits, runners at the corners. And the Bates boys coming up. Dan, the first baseman, and then Ryan to follow. Pitch in there for a strike. The 0-1 from Haverstock. Decent lead for Chapman, being held on over there by Murphy. Haverstock from the stretch. Low and outside. Again, holding Chapman at first. Decent lead. Slightly off the bag for Pellerine at third. In there for a strike. High into the air to right field. We'll see if that'll score Pellerine. Deep enough. Pellerine will come home. Throw is cut off by Murphy. And scoring is Big Guy with the first Bearcats run. So sacrifice fly RBI for Dan Bates. It's the first out of the inning. Chapman will stay at first. Tied up at 1. From the tack rounds. of the great ballparks in Atlantic Canada. One of the more unique ballparks in Atlantic Canada, that's for sure, the way the dimensions go from left to right field. Pitch is high. This is Ryan Bates, the right fielder. Batting from the right side, wearing number 40. About 270 down the the first base line. He got a little porch in right field. The 1-0 swung on to right field. Charging in is Pelham. He'll make the catch on the track. And Chapman will stay at first. There's your second out of the inning. Ryan Bates flying out to right field. Here's the catcher, Matt Mingo. So Haverstock trying to get out of this with just the one run surrendered and still a tie ball game. Chapman goes. The throw down to second. It's in time, but just on a bad bounce there into the first base side. And Chapman slides in safely and comes up with a bit of a hobble there, does John. But he's all right. So a stolen base for Chapman. Fifth batter of the inning, Matt Mingo. Should he reach, we'll see Adam Lombard, the left fielder. Runner in scoring position for Mingo. On the inside edge. Haverstock off the plate inside. For a strike. Haverstock working both sides of the plates. 2-2 count coming up here on Mingo. The 2-2. Oh, just off the plate. Good eye there for Mingo. Haverstock wanted it. And we'll go to a full count pitch. First base is open. Second baseman Ferguson slightly holding on. Chapman at second. A swing and a miss for Mingo. He's down on strikes. Haverstock's first punch out. And that'll do it for the Cats in the second. 2 hits, 1 run, 1 left on base. Good one here so far. Seems like every time we have the Bearcats, we have a pitcher's battle or a low-scoring game that cruises along nicely. So far, that is the case here in the 1-1 game as we go to the top of the third. Again, B. McLean Sports on Twitter. Hope to hear from you throughout the broadcast. Let me know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. I'll send you a shout-out on the air and give you a retweet or what have you. Our ongoing coverage, and of course, we are the exclusive home of the 2015 Senior Nationals this year in Chatham as well. Join me in Chatham, New Brunswick, the time that's going to be at Ironman Park, the 2015 Nationals from Chatham. Ironman Park will be the main park, of course, and then I think the second one is in Chatham Head. We'll have every game webcast, following up on our coverage last year in St. John's. The Sydney Sooners will be there, representing the Nova Scotia League. Fredericton Royals will be there representing New Brunswick, and of course the host team, the Chatham Ironmen. Back on the air next week, Saturday night baseball, sorry, from Chatham. Again, beautiful Miramichi and Ironman Park. You can see the doubleheader. Starting at 6 o'clock, the Alpines and the Ironmen. We have a insane weekend next weekend for local sport coverage throughout Atlantic Canada. We'll talk more about that as we go along. But make sure you bookmark the site, community1.bellaliant.ca, and join us next weekend. We are local sport all across Atlantic Canada in multiple sports for your viewing pleasure. Let's go to the top of the third. Paul Davey back up to the plate. Greg McKinnon and Jake Pelham to the top of the order here. So Davey, McKinnon, and Pelham. Pitch inside. The 1-0. In there for a strike. Batters starting to adjust here. This umpire definitely giving an extra little bit on the inside and outside edge. Been very, very consistent with it. That's in there for a strike on the swing and miss by Davey. And now 1-2 on Paul. The 1-2. Davey swung on to left field. And tracking it is Lombard. And he'll make the catch right on the track out there in left center. So a high, lazy fly ball. No problem for Lombard. And now Davey 1 for 2. Here's Greg McKinnon. Greg had a single back in the first and scored a run on the error to Guy Pellerin. First pitch from Chapman. On that outside edge for a strike. The 0-1. 1-1. Also baseball, we're in St. John's next weekend for the club championship at St. Pat's Field. 1-2. All 10 teams in Newfoundland Labrador will be there. We'll have every game from St. Pat's Ballpark, the Newfoundland Labrador Senior Club Championships. It's just off the plate, 2-2. You can join Mike Meany there from St. Pat's. That gets going on Thursday night, I believe. That's St. Pat's turn. Speaking of beautiful ball fields, that is a gorgeous park they have there, right in the heart of St. John's. St. Pat's Ballpark. The 1-2. Oh, didn't mean to there by McKinnon. No problem for John Chapman. 1-3 goes McKinnon. There's Jake Pelham. Jake reached on the error back in the first. Drove home a run, or brought home a run. Pellerin made the play at third, touched third for the force, but then the throw across the diamond ate up Dan Bates. Isabelle Germain, our sideline camera. See, is he on East Coast Sports Show with me? Our third base camera girl. Bill McLean with you from TAC Grounds. Drew DeMocus is our producer. Dan Hobson taking over here in the 4th and 5th inning. Fouled off down the third base side. Our second look at Jake Pelham. Sean Peveril will follow should Pelham reach. Swung on. And a little duck snort, and Murphy stumbled on the outfield grass. But hangs with it and makes the catch. Had to battle the sun and the grass there as he came off the dirt. But hung with it and makes the catch. 1, 2, 3. John Chapman has now surrendered, or has now set down 6 in a row, 7 in a row, dating back to the first inning. No runs, no hits, none left on base. 7 retired in a row for Chapman. He's starting to cruise. We go to the bottom of the third with Lombard, Murphy, and Tobin coming up on Aliant Community 1. here in the bottom of the third. And the Bearcats getting a run in the bottom of the second. And trying to build now here on a 1-1 tie. Our first look at Adam Lombard, the left fielder, wearing number 36 and batting from the left side. Pitch in there for a strike from Haverstock. Haverstock out there for his third inning of work. Has surrendered 2 hits. Chapman and Haverstock. Chances are good we might be in for a pitcher's duel today. Rolls one over first. No problem there for Steve Murphy. Good coverage by Mark Haverstock, and Lombard out 3-1. Talked about Haverstock, the way he can field his position. Does it so well. They had a game last year where there was a quick, short foul ball behind the catcher. And I think it was Sean Walsh who was catching that game. It was at the Mainland Commons. But it really wasn't that high of a pop foul. And Walsh went off his glove and would look like it was going to hit the dirt. And Mark Haverstock came sprinting in from his pitcher's mound and made the catch behind home plate. Another rolling ball down to first. This is a deja vu play. There's Haverstock. Bit of a tough throw that time, but he gets it from Murphy. And we are now moving along here. 2 quick outs on identical plays. Tough hops out there on that infield today, too. We were out there on the field with all the kids earlier today for East Coast Sports Show. And a lot of... they had a lot of rain yesterday, so there's some choppy ground and some wet ground as well. There's Mike Tobin. Pitch just off the plate for Mike. 1-0. Mike grounded out to shortstop back in the first inning. And therefore a strike, 1-1. Off the plate, 2-1. Mentioned earlier, just picture perfect day for baseball. Not much of a wind at all, maybe 10 kilometers at the most, blowing to left field. Swung on to center field, and settling under it is McKinnon. And the left-hander makes the catch no problem. Tobin out, he's now 0 for 2. Great stuff there. They got the as part of one of the Kids' Day celebrations, they had the one of the youngsters up here doing a PA. Kid had a quick inning. That was another 1-2-3 inning there, so he didn't have a whole lot of time, but good times here. And you'll finish it off with the announcement of the accumulated stats for the inning. All right, so we are switching things over here. Dan Hobson is coming over to do your play-by-play, and I'll head over to the PA booth. So thanks for being with me for the top 3 innings. Dan Hobson will take you through the next 2 here on Community One.
And welcome back to the Tech Grounds here. It's Kids Baseball Day here. Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League action. Halifax Pelham Canadians 1, Truro Bearcats 1. I'm Dan Hobson, filling in for the next couple of innings here. And we just started off the inning with the designated hitter Sean Peveril getting a single to left field. It was a little bit of a blooper that Adam Lombard couldn't get to, so there's one on, no out. Josh Pelham at the plate. Got a single the first inning, and he's going to get a single here the second as he gets a single to right field. So he's 2 for 2 in this game. First and second coming up to the plate, Sean Walsh. He grounded out in the first 4-3. 0 for 1 is Sean Walsh, first and second. Walsh, 10-year veteran of the Halifax Pelham Canadians. He started around 2005. He was the backup catcher to Gregor McPherson, and he's now pretty well one of the most senior veterans of the team. Him and Sean Peveril, they all broke in at the same time. And what a year of turnover it has been, as Bill's mentioned throughout the webcast. The Ryan Vino, Adam Lucas, two keys up the middle have retired. So some veteran leadership here for Sean Walsh and Sean Peveril. And Walsh is at the plate here, first and second, not out. Pitch outside, gets off the glove of Matt Mingo. This is going to be an interesting story, as one of the departures for the Truro Bearcats, while we're speaking of departures, was Nick Best didn't return last year, so they were doing catching by committee. It's being shared by Matt Mingo as well as Darcy Murphy. And right there, that just went off the glove of Matt Mingo, so everybody advances up 90 feet, make it second and third with no out. Infield is in, the pitch, and it's hit up the middle, goes off the foot of Darcy Murphy and kicked into the outfield. That will score Sean Peveril, and also coming in is Pelham. 2 runs on a hit up the middle. Makes it 3-1 for the Halifax Pelham Canadians. So a couple of RBIs there for the catcher, Sean Walsh. Brandon McKinnon coming to the plate. He struck out in the second to lead off the second. So 2 runs, 3 hits so far in this inning as the pitch is fouled back into the stands. Good turnout here today. As Bill mentioned, it's Kids Day at the park. So we had some drills going on a little earlier. 1 strike to McKinnon here. Pitch, squares the bunt, does offer at it. Zaknoff didn't even need to go to Chris Solarski. Those are our umpires this afternoon for the appeal. Called him on the strike, so it is 2 strikes. We have time on the field so we could fix that little divot that was made while on first base. So 2 strikes to Brandon McKinnon here. Steve Murphy on deck. First baseman. The 0-2 pitch. Chapman from the stretch. Pitch swung on and missed, and McKinnon goes down swinging this time for the first out here in the 4th inning. Steve Murphy grounded out 6-3. Shortstop. He grounded out to the shortstop and was thrown out at first, so grounded out in the second. Runner at first. Pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Both these teams want to get a W in the column, because last weekend Halifax was swept by the Sydney Sooners, so they would love to get a W, and Truro Bearcats were beaten Thursday night as this ball was fouled up, and Dan Bates has lost it, and he shielded his head and missed opportunity there for an out. Bates lost it in the sun, so Steve Murphy has a life here. Let's see what he could do with it. As I mentioned, they lost Thursday night, the Bearcats did. Well-pitched game by Mosier as well as Mingo, who's catching this afternoon. And then they got into the bullpens, and Dartmouth got a 2-0 lead earlier. And then Truro rallied back and got 3, and then Dartmouth walked them off in the bottom of the 9th. Chapman the stretch, he'll throw it over the first. Easily back is Brandon McKinnon. Good opportunity here for Halifax to test Mingo, see what he can do throwing runners out. There's a pitch. And Steve Murphy caught looking for strike 3. It's kind of a mixed bag inning. A couple of hits to start off the inning. And 2 strikeouts. And now Aaron Ferguson coming to plate. He flied out to right. Back in the second. Aaron Ferguson filling in for, has big boots to fill. Filling in for Adam Lucas, who is retired from the league. Bill and I were talking off camera where there was a lot of change in the offseason in the Senior Baseball League for almost pretty well every team. You think of Truro here, Josh Fouché didn't return, as well as Nick Best. For Dartmouth, Big Bat, Darren Doucette, as well as Matt McDonald, who was a really excellent pitcher. And then you got the Kentville Wildcats. This is another strike there to Ferguson. Kentville Wildcats lost Curtis Falls, who's now going to be playing for Yarmouth in the Nova Scotia Intermediate Baseball League. And of course Halifax, Adam Lucas, and Ryan Vino. Pitch from Chapman, strike 2. So Chapman's 1 strike away from striking out the side after giving up 3 hits and has a chance to strike out 3 straight batters. They get their damage early, got 2 runs early. Chapman the pitch, runner going, and it's fouled off. Two and 2 the count to Ferguson. Chapman with a quick look over to first. On the stretch. The pitch. Grounded out to Tobin. He's going to go to short route and go over to Darcy Murphy to get the 3rd out of the inning there, as Walsh is retired 6-3 if you're scoring at home. But boy, that was a big one there. 2 runs, 3 hits. There was no errors and nobody left on. So for 3.5, it is the Halifax Palomols Canadians 3, your Truro Bearcats 1. You're watching Atlantic Senior Baseball here on Bell Line Community 1. And welcome back to the Tech Grounds for Atlantic Senior Baseball here on Bell Line Community 1. Dan Hobson with the call. Big inning for the Halifax Palomols Canadians as they scored 2 runs there in the 3rd with a 3-1 lead here. And coming up the bat is Jeff Chisholm, Guy Peller, and John Chapman, the heart of the Bearcat order. Of course, we've got some lacrosse here on Bell Line Community 1 tomorrow afternoon at 2. So if you're a lacrosse fan, you can stick around to the webcast, watch some great lacrosse. As well as we've got some Atlantic Senior Baseball next week from Chatham. The 1-10 St. John Albines taking on the Chatham Ironmen. Of course, the Chatham Ironmen will be hosting the 2015 Senior Baseball Championships as Jeff Chisholm steps to the plate. He grounded out to the second baseman back back in the first. The pitch, squares the bunt. That's high for a ball. Ball one. Jeff Chisholm, speedy center fielder, but he's also been known to hit some homers last year. He's shown a lot of power, shown a lot of pulp. He's got one so far this year. 1-0 pitch. Swung on, fouled. Seems to be wincing over in pain. He seems to be okay as he took it off the foot, so it's 1 ball, 1 strike. To the 32-year-old, just celebrated a birthday yesterday. Seems to be a lot of people having birthdays in June. He is originally from Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. 1-1 pitch. That's outside and high, 2-1. Guy Pellerin on deck. The 2-1 pitch from Heverstock. Side, maybe a little bit low, 3-1, so Jeff Chisholm in the driver's seat here. Truro Bearcats doing this solo today as Scott Bailey and Kevin Matheson, who do some coaching from the bench, are not here, so guys are on their own this afternoon in terms of making calls from the bench, so they're self-managing themselves. As Chisholm fouls that off to make the count full at 3 balls, 2 strikes. The full count pitch from Heverstock. The windup. Fouled back as Chiz gets a Chisholm, Chiz, whichever you want to call him. Chiz is his nickname on the team. Gets his arms out and just puts it out of play. Fights it off. So we'll do the 3-2 pitch again. Not the only Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League game happening here. In Sydney, Kentville Wildcats are taking on Sydney Sooners. Yesterday, Sydney won, so they're hot. 4 straight wins in a row as Chisholm calls time, as Heverstock takes a lot of time on the mound. Heverstock and Walsh, the battery this afternoon. They know each other well. Heverstock also been around this team for a while and also did some coaching. As that's down in the dirt for ball 4, and Jeff Chisholm will take a walk. Coming to the plate, Guy Pellerin. He doubled in the 2nd inning and scored the lone Bearcat run. So this should be interesting. One of the best catchers in the league, Sean Walsh, at throwing runners, and Jeff Chisholm, good at stealing bases. As Guy sort of checked his swing, but not in time, and he goes completely. So strike 1 to the veteran 3rd baseman. Heverstock from the stretch. The 0-1 pitch swung on and missed, strike 2. So Heverstock in the driver's seat against Guy Pellerin. He started out with the Bearcat organization as a shortstop, and he's been moving between 1st and 3rd. The 0-2 pitch off the end of the bat. It may just turn 1 as it's going to be thrown out to first there. 4-3 if you're scoring. Ferguson to Murphy for the first out here in the 4th inning. So Chisholm moves up to 2nd on the ground ball, and John Chapman steps to the plate, the reigning 2014 MVP. He'll be first to tell you that he's off to probably with a little bit of a slow start. Not doing too bad, but not as quick, not as good as he'd like, as there's a ball hit to left field. Davies under it, and he makes the catch. And Chiz, who just went halfway, will walk back to 2nd. And there's 2 outs, bringing Dan Bates to the plate. Now this is a player who's really progressed a lot. Dan Bates started off as a designated hitter, then played a little bit of outfield, and now has taken the first base position with the team, and he can hit the ball a ton. He's got 2 home runs to start the year. That ball is high. It gets off the glove of Walsh. He loses it for second, but enough for Jeff Chisholm to advance to third. So they'll give Walsh a pass ball for that one. As I mentioned about Dan Bates, he kind of had a little bit of a rough start to the year. Had a bit of an auto accident, and he had a little bit of a concussion. He's just coming back, but he made a big difference when they went to Sydney and won that series. Or actually, there was supposed to be a series, but they only played one game, as the other one was rained out. But he hit a 2-run home run, and then his next game here at Truro, he had a 3-run bomb against Dartmouth Moosehead Dry. Dan Bates. Takes a strike. Played his junior hockey with the Elks organization, so he's a vivid hockey player as well. As he takes strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the big first baseman. Or 2 and 2, pardon me. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the first baseman. Swung on. Gets away from Walsh, but they'll make it official here. 1-3 if you're scoring on the strikeout there. K1 to 3. So the walk doesn't hurt Haverstock. So the Bearcats, no runs, no hits, and no errors, and they do leave a runner on base. So through 4 innings here, it's the Halifax Palomols Canadians 3, Truro Bearcats 1. You're watching Atlantic Senior Baseball here on Bell Line Community 1, your leader in sports webcasting in Atlantic Canada. And welcome back to the Tech Grounds. Halifax Pelham Canadians lead the Truro Bearcats 3-1. The 2-run 4th inning difference so far. As Paul Davey, a former Bearcat, steps into the box here. Face John Chapman. First pitch swinging, sends it out to short, and Tobin makes the catch. 1 down here in the 5th. Greg McKinnon come to the plate. This is his 3rd appearance at the plate. He got a single in the 1st and grounded out to the pitcher in the 3rd. 1 for 2 for the shortstop. Chapman from the windup throws a strike. No balls, 1 strike to McKinnon. Greg McKinnon. That ball was inside. McKinnon, all he could do was hook it foul. McKinnon had some good fast hands to get on one because that was a pitch that was way inside. Now it's 2 strikes to McKinnon. Chapman not wasting a lot of time in between pitches as that one is in there for a ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Just got to shorten up here and put her in play if you're Greg McKinnon for Halifax. That one is outside. Probably trying to get him to see if he's going to chase something there, but no biting there for McKinnon, and the count 2-2. That goes off the end of the bat. Oh, Chapman has a little bit of problem with it and loses the handle, and McKinnon beats it out. So we're going to have to award an E1 to the pitcher there. Bearcats booting around their second error of the game. They got an error in the first inning that cost them a run. Throwing error, Guy Pellerin made a nice play. The ball was grounded out to him, and then he stepped on the bag, but the throw came up short, and Dan Bates couldn't scoop it, went out of play, and the run came in to score. This is Jake Pelham. I mentioned about that error. He's the one that hit the ball. Advanced to second on the two-base error by Guy, and flied out to second in the third inning. McKinnon's going. They have a hit and run. Beautifully executed by Halifax. McKinnon should easily get to third. Great hit and run there by the Halifax Pelham Molson Canadians. The thing about the hit and run, it's excellent when it works, but it can be suicidal if it doesn't, but it worked out well for them. Jake Pelham with a hit there, and now it's first and third with only one out. Let's see what the Bearcats do defensively as Sean Peverill comes up to the plate. Sean flied out to center field in the first and singled in that two-run fourth inning. 1 for 2 is the veteran designated hitter. Chapman from the stretch, the pitch. Outside corner for a strike, 0-1 to Peverill. Bearcats in double play depth. They're not in too far, so they're going to the ground ball too seriously. As that one is chipped back, Murphy's going back for it. Does make a nice catch. Darcy Murphy using some of his speed there to get to that ball. He almost caught it on the first baseline, had a better angle than Dan Bates, and made a nice play to record the second out. Josh Pelham coming to the plate. Singled in the first and singled in the fourth, so he's 2 for 2. Left-handed batter. Sean Walsh, the veteran catcher, on deck. Pitch from Chapman. Going. Halifax going to steal a run here as the throw from Tobin goes over to the backstop. And Truro's going to be charged with their third error as they throw it around. I'm sure that if Matt Mingo had a chance to do that play all over again, he wouldn't have thrown that ball. Usually a first and third situation, so Halifax got themselves another run as Greg McKinnon comes to score. Went over the backstop, so we have a E6 to Mike Tobin for the throw, causing Jake Pelham to move to third. 4-1 for the Halifax Pelham Molson Canadians. 3 errors for the Bearcats. They got to tighten this up defensively. Half of the Pelham Canadians' runs has been as a result of Truro Bearcat errors. If you want to be really picky, you could also say that you give like 2 errors, because I mean you can't really give error for mental errors, but I'm sure if Matt Mingo is new to the catching position, would probably just held on to that ball and make it second or third. It will get rid of the double play opportunity, but now the throw, the runner was breaking from third, and there really wasn't a chance for Tobin to get it, and then all of a sudden the overthrow to the backstop. Chisholm's pitch is low. 3 balls, 1 strike here. Ooh. Josh Pelham started his little trot down to first, and Zach Nuff says, "No, sir, come on back." 3 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. So that's 5 strikeouts for John Chapman here in 5 innings. But the problem is they're just having some errors, as they've had 3 errors in this game. So there was a run that inning on a hit and 1 error and 1 runner left on. So as we head to the bottom of the 5th. It is the Halifax Pelham Canadians 4, the Truro Bearcats 1, as you're watching Atlantic Senior Baseball here on Beltline Community 1, your leader in sports webcasting in Atlantic Canada. We'll be back with the bottom of the 5th in just a couple moments. From the Tech Grounds here in Truro, Nova Scotia, you're watching Atlantic Baseball League action. Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League as the Truro Bearcats taking on the Halifax Pelham Molson Canadians. Right now, they're trailing 4-1. I'm Dan Hobson, filling in here for Bill McLean for a couple of innings. More Atlantic Senior Baseball next week, Saturday, June 27th. St. John Alpines, who are 1-10, take on the Chatham Ironmen, who are 5-5 for doubleheader action. 6 o'clock is the first pitch here on Beltline Community 1, as we have a fly out to left field. Paul Davies under it, makes the catch for the first out here in the 5th inning. Matt Mingo coming to the plate. He struck out in the 2nd. 0 for 1 is the catcher. Wind up from Heverstock. In there for a strike. Strike 1. Matt Mingo last year played a lot of second base. This year he's taken a big role in playing the catcher position. Has thrown out a runner or two here, so he's done really good behind the plate as that pitch is inside and he fights it off and fouls it down to third base coach Tony Stewart this afternoon. 2 strikes on the second-year catcher. Matt Mingo's in the baseball family. His brother and sister both play here in the Truro area. So Mr. and Mrs. Mingo pretty familiar with the baseball diamond. That ball's fouled off to the right field and in amongst the trees here. Tech Grounds, as Bill mentioned, different with the dimensions and stuff, but it's also different as there's a tree out in left field and a couple of trees out in right field, and they're in play. So imagine running along and running into a tree. How comforting is that? Is Heverstock outside corner catches Mingo looking for strike 3. And Matt Mingo having a tough afternoon, 2 Ks, as Adam Lombard comes to the plate. Flied out in the 3rd. Adam Lombard getting to be a veteran with this team as well. Started off with this team, then played some intermediate ball when they had the intermediate Giants. Of course, now that team's defunct. Came back to senior. Found himself a spot on this team and swings and misses. fielder with lots of speed if he can get on. He's got some legs, this Adam Lombard. Everstock must feel he's in the driver's seat with a 3-run lead here. And Adam sends it to left field into the corner. Pelham knocks it down, does a great job there. Nice reaction by the right fielder there for Halifax as it took a bounce and went the other way, and he used his other hand to knock it down. If he didn't, that would have been extra bases for Adam Lombard. Darcy Murphy coming to the plate. He's 0 for 2 so far. Grounded out the pitcher to start the at-bat. Turo's round of at-bats. Grounded out to the pitcher in the first, and grounded out to second in the third. 39-year-old veteran. Still got lots of speed for a 39-year-old. As he fouls it off the leg and goes down. And he's still down. And this wouldn't be a good injury to have. Because also, too, Darson is the backup catcher. So if we lose the backup, if we have to pitch run or Matt Mingo gets injured, then your third result might be either John or Tony, but he's having a hard time, so he's going to walk it off here. That is painful because, as you can tell at home, if you can, Darson doesn't wear a shin guard, so there's no real protection there, but it got him just right around the knee. So he's going to battle it out. So he'll have a little bit of some blue and brown in his by his knee tomorrow or later on tonight. So that's a tough one strike there for the veteran second baseman. Gets back in the plate. The 1 strike pitch. Lombard on first. The pitch outside for 1-1. Let's see if they put the hit and run on here. They got a lot of choices here. Adam has a lot of speed, as I mentioned, in his at-bat here. So you have speed and a guy who can control the bat really well, a good slap hitter. Doesn't strike out often. See if they could get some offense going here. They're down by 3. Everstock from the stretch. 1-1 pitch. Down. 2 balls, 1 strike. Of course, as Bill has been mentioned, today was Kids Day at the park. Darson's son Melky was taking some at bats, and I'm telling you, he has the almost exact same stance as Darson does. 2 ball, 1 strike pitch is outside, 3-1. Darson in the driver's seat here. Darson also played some intermediate ball and then got called up to senior. That was a few years ago. 3-1 pitch. Lombard not moving. That's there for strike 2, full count. So Lombard will be on the go here. Darson digs in. Tobin's on deck. The speedy, well-handed shortstop from Antigonish on deck for the Cats. Full count. Darson gets a bat on it, but that will go foul, so we'll do it all over again at 3 balls, 2 strikes. As I was mentioning, he's a slap hitter. He's hard to strike out because he gets in a situation where he uses his hands very well. So a lot of you young players out there, trust your hands. I'm sure if you watch some baseball, you know very well what I'm talking about. Rely more on their hands and cut the stride down when they get 2 strikes, wide out, make some decent contact. That's what Darson does. He's the straw that stirs the drink around here in Truro. Hard to strike out. So Lombard at first, he will be going, as there's 2 outs, full count. Haverstock from the stretch. A 3-2 pitch. Fouled back. This is what I'm saying. He also has tough at-bats because he fouls pitches off and then can work you for a walk. So we'll do it all over again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Of course, with these full counts and Adam Lombard running, he's getting his sprints in. Haverstock gets the sign from Walsh. Darson calls time. He'll step out. The 3-2 pitch. Lombard goes. That ball's fouled. It's slicing away from Davey and drops in. Lombard's going to go to third. Murphy's going to go to second. Throw coming into second. It's offline. Safe as Darson Murphy sliced it down the left field line for a double. Great at bat for Darson Murphy as he gets a double. Second and third, 2 outs for Mike Tobin. Just before Mike Tobin got into batter's box, he took some instruction from veteran center fielder of the team, Jeff Chisholm. Chisholm also doing a little bit of the coaching today. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Scott Bailey and Kevin Matheson not here this afternoon. Adam with a little bit of sprint, and he got Haverstock distracted there just for a brief second. Haverstock, with runners at second and third, is going to go from the windup. That's popped back. Walsh coming back, and he doesn't have a play. Came right into your living room there for a second. But a little slight hesitation. And 1 strike to Mike Tobin. Just a little bit of something different that Tobin's doing today. After going most of the season with batting gloves, he's trying it on. He's got the Franklins on again this afternoon. Or got the Franklins on. Trying to get like a little bit of a better grip on the bat. 1 strike pitch to the Antigonish native. Wind off from Haverstock to pitch. That's popped. It's going to be... And I think we're going to run out of real estate. No, it's a great running catch there by Pelham there to come up and retire the side. So great running catch by the third baseman. So that will do it for me. Bill's back to call the 6th and the rest of the game. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Of course, also information how to contact Bill is right on the bottom. And look forward to doing this some other time. Bill will be back here to call it the rest of the way. I'm Dan Hobson, and you're watching Atlantic Senior Baseball here on Belline Community 1, your leader in sports webcasting in Atlantic Canada. All right, friends, welcome back to our ongoing coverage here of the Atlantic Senior Baseball
this summer, rotating between the New Brunswick and Nova Scotia leagues, along with special events in the Newfoundland-Labrador League. This week, we are in Truro at the beautiful attack grounds here in the heart of the city. And it's the Bearcats and the Pelham Canadians cruising along here. We're to the top of the sixth inning, with the Canadians leading the Bearcats 4-1. Special thanks to Dan Hobson, your play-by-play there for the fourth and fifth innings. Of course, doing an incredible job as always. Bill McLean back with you here to bring you home in the top of the sixth. Walsh flying out to center field for the first out. Here's Brandon McKinnon, the long-rangey left fielder, or center fielder, sorry, batting from the left side. 0 for 2 is Brandon. He struck out looking and swinging so far in this one. Signature inning so far for the Bearcats was the fourth, when they scored 2 runs on a single by Sean Walsh. A 2 RBI single for Sean that plated Peveril and Pelham. In the fifth inning, they also scored Greg McKinnon on an error on John Chapman. A tough inning for the Bearcats, throwing the ball around a bit with 2 errors that led to the 1 run. So that's really the only difference so far. Both pitchers have pitched well, but defense at times shaky for this Bearcat squad. And Mark Haverstock starting to roll along for the Canadians. A little bit of trouble in that last inning, but they got out of a jam with runners on third and second. Great to have you with us on Bell Aliant Community 1. And again, B. McLean Sports on Twitter to reach out to me during the broadcast. There's the third strikeout of the game for Brandon McKinnon. He is out on strikes. And we'll go to Steve Murphy, the first baseman. So should Murphy reach, we'll see Aaron Ferguson. Murphy wearing number 6, batting from the right side. Struck out back in the fourth and grounded out to shortstop back in the second. 4-1 lead for this Canadians team. These two rival teams have had some heated affairs the last couple years. Nothing crazy too far, or so far in this one. Kids' Day here at the park, so they're trying to keep it under control. That's going to find the gap in left center and go to the wall. To it is Lombard. He'll throw it in, but that's a stand-up double for Steve Murphy. That split the outfielders, touched the fence. Classic stand-up double with 2 outs here for Steve Murphy. So a runner in scoring position for the Canadians. And here's Aaron Ferguson, the second baseman. Aaron flew out to right field and reached on a fielder's choice. Back to the top of the order, should Ferguson reach. Lots of fun again here today at the TAC Grounds. They had the Kids' Day earlier, putting some local young baseball players through the paces with fielding and hitting instruction. And then batting practice with the Bantam AAA Bearcats were here, taking part in the batting practice. Giveaways, just a great Saturday afternoon at the ballpark. Of course, as mentioned, the weather perfect for baseball. Temperatures about 21, 22 degrees, no wind, hardly at all. There's a nice cool breeze coming through the press box right now. Really nothing interfering with play whatsoever. That's just off the outside edge. Umpire has been giving the inside and outside strikes today. And batters on both teams slowly adjusting. Very consistent. There you see it on that outside corner. Very consistent. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And this game has really had a nice flow to it. Again, just those errors kind of costing the Bearcats. Uncharacteristic infield errors. What has normally been a very solid defensive Bearcats team. Chapman at one point in this game sat down 7 Canadians in a row. The 2-2. Back to Chapman, a kick save and a beauty, and he's up with it. He'll throw it to Verse. Nicely done for John. That'll do it for the Canadians here in the 6th. Both pitchers can feel their position well. And there you saw Chapman again with a nice play. Kicking out that leg, getting the glove in front. 1 hit, 1 left on, no errors. We go to the bottom of the 6th from beautiful TAC Grounds in Truro with a 4-1 lead for the Canadians. Hi friends, welcome back to the TAC grounds here in Truro. Sun-splashed downtown Truro. Great day in the city. There's a whole bunch of events going on, including Kids Day here at the park. And they had a sidewalk sale in downtown Truro. They had a bunch of stuff going on at the local mall. So really a fun day here for the folks in this beautiful hub city of Nova Scotia. The hometown Bearcats back to the plate here, looking for runs. Haverstock out there for his 6th inning. Jeff Chisholm, Guy Pellerin, and John Chapman will come to the plate. Chisholm, the center fielder, batting from the left-hand side. Singled back in the 4th inning. He is 1 for 2. The 0-1. Ball on the inside portion. Our ongoing coverage of Atlantic Senior Baseball. Again, next week we are in Chatham at beautiful Ironmen Park. Doubleheader baseball from Saturday night in Miramichi. The Alpines and the Ironmen. Tough year so far for the Alpines. It looks like they're going to be on the outside looking in come playoff time in the New Brunswick League. But the Ironmen trucking along as normal. Just getting ready to host Nationals in August. The 2-1. And that outside portion again given to the pitcher. 2-2. We've seen the Canadians especially kind of struggle. Not both teams, I should say, at times been questionable of the call, but again, the umpire has been very consistent. Curveball and rolling one over foul is Chisholm. As those in the know often say, all you can ask for is consistency. And certainly this umpire has been. Another 2-2 coming up from Haverstock. Mark trying to get into one of his characteristic grooves. He can sometimes get on and just roll along for innings. Haverstock joined the Sydney Sooners last year in their championship appearance in St. John's. He was one of the call-ups to play for the Sooners and got knocked around in the one game he did pitch in. But a real valuable guy on that Sooners team. Of course, he's a guy you can automatically put onto a lineup and he'll take a leadership role and fit right in with guys. That's fouled over the backstop, just over the press box here at the TAC grounds. Of course, that Sooners team that had the heartbreaking loss to the Chatham Ironmen in the 11-inning classic from Mount Pearl. They do it again. Off the outside edge, and we'll go to a full count here on Chisholm. Really outstanding appearances last year. Of course, the Chatham Ironmen. They lost to the Langley Blaze 1-0 in 9 innings. A heartbreaking loss for the Ironmen last year to the Langley Blaze. Here's your walk for Chisholm. So a nice at bat for Chisholm. Fouls off some tough pitches, gets the walk, and he's on board. The leadoff man on for the Bearcats. Here's Guy Pellerin. As mentioned, in Chatham next week, and I believe the week after that we're back for the first time in Halifax. I'll have to confirm that, but I believe the early July game we are back at Mainland Commons in Halifax. Our first visit there. A nice lead for Chisholm at first base, being held on, the throw over by Haverstock. Drew Demokas is our producer. Izzy Germain, our third base camera girl. A high pop fly to center field. Settling under it is McKinnon. He will come in and make the catch. And actually battle the sun on that, and the second baseman Ferguson was thinking about it as well. But McKinnon calls, makes the catch, keeps Chisholm at first. John Chapman. 1 for 2 is John. He had a single and stole a base back in the second. First pitch strike. The 0-1. Pitcher versus pitcher here. Chapman trying to help his cause. That won't do. A ball to second. Ferguson, and they'll get the lead runner. Ferguson to McKinnon. So Chisholm out 4-6. Chapman on the fielder's choice to first base. Dan Bates. So here's Dan. He had the sacrifice fly RBI for this Bearcats team. The only run so far. Bouncing ball to third. Josh Pelham, the throw across, and nicely done for Big Josh. Bates out 6-3 or 5-3, and that'll do it for the Bearcats in the 6th inning. They send 4 men to the plate. They get a walk. 1 left on. No hits, no errors. Let's go to the 7th inning. 4-1 for the Canadians on Bell Aliant Community 1. All right, friends, great to have you back with us here from the TAC grounds in Truro. We're off the 7th inning and a 4-1 game for the Canadians. And John Chapman back to the mound for his 7th inning, trying to keep the Canadians at 7. And we go back to the top of the order once again, Paul Davey. And Paul rips into one down the left field line. That will go well foul. Davey, McKinnon, Pelham, and should anyone reach, we'll see Sean Peverell. Again, make sure you spread the word on Twitter, on Facebook, or however you can about the coverage. Make sure you send the link along. Get as many people watching as you can. We work our way to nationals in Chatham. Again, exclusive coverage throughout the tournament. Swung on down the left field line and giving chase over there, and making the catch is Lombard. So Paul Davey out again. He's now 1 for 4 is Paul. Pitch on the outside, 1-0. Now 2-0 on Greg McKinnon. Greg singled back in the first, grounded out to the pitcher and reached on an error. Bouncing ball down the third base line. Tough play for Pellerin. Yes, sir! Nicely done for Guy. Comes up with it and gets the speedy McKinnon on a barehanded play. Gorgeous for Guy Pellerin. So McKinnon out 5-3. One of the highlights of the game so far. Just foul. A 1-1 here. There's Jake Pelham. Jake reached on an error, popped out to second base, and singled. Breaking ball just misses low. Swung on, and that's a hot shot to right field. And on one bounce to Bates. A solid single for Jake Pelham. So Jake 2 for 4 with a couple singles, and now here's Sean Peveril. Sean singled and scored back in the fourth. 1 for 3 is Peveril. Chapman from the stretch. To second, a chance for Murphy from his knees. The flip to Tobin. And they'll get the lead runner Pelham. 4-6. So that'll do it for the Canadians in the top of the seventh. They get one hit. They score no runs. No men left on base. And we go to stretch time. To the bottom of the seventh here at the TAC Grounds in Truro. Get up and get yourself a beverage and get ready for the stretch drive here of this one. A 4-1 lead for the Canadians as we go to the bottom of the seventh on Community One. To the bottom of the seventh we go. And the Bearcats running out of chances here. They have 3 innings left to try to make a charge. Ryan Bates, Matt Mingo, Adam Lombard. The bottom of the order coming up here for the Bearcats. First look at Ryan Bates. In this at bat, the pitch just outside, 1-0. Ryan flew out to right field in the second and out in the fifth as well. So 0 for 2 so far is the right fielder. The 1-0. Bouncing ball just dribbles wide of the third baseline. 1-1 pitch coming up on Bates. So Bates, Mingo, Lombard. Should anyone reach, we'll see Darson Murphy. The 1-1. Swung on, and that might stay in play. It does, down the first base line. Thinking about it was Bates, but he'll stay right there at first. But a little duck snort, perfectly placed. Stays in play down the first base line. I think the umpire just took the ball off the shin there as well. But a seeing eye single, a little looping seeing eye single for Ryan Bates. Put him at first base with his first hit of the game. And we'll see if that can get the Bearcats offense going. Matt Mingo has had a tough day so far. He's struck out looking and swinging. Haverstock now from the stretch. A nice lead for Ryan Bates. Sacrifice bunt down the first base line. Haverstock fields it cleanly. Makes the play to first. And Mingo out 1-3. Or actually a sacrifice bunt there for Mingo. So Mingo gives himself up. Puts a runner in scoring position. There's Adam Lombard. Lombard 1 for 2. Had a single back in the fifth and was stranded at first base. On the left side. Swung on, a hot shot, and just off the tip of the glove of Murphy. Staying at third will be Bates. But Murphy just couldn't field it cleanly. It was a hot shot. Bates at third. Let's see what the official scoring of that is here. But Lombard at first. They got their Dan a hit or an error on that. Okay. Yep. So a hit given to Lombard. Two singles in the inning. Bates at third, Lombard at first. Bearcats in business. To the top of the order with Darson Murphy. 1 for 3 is Darson at a single. Back in the fifth. Up the middle! Murphy's going to cash in a run. An RBI single for Darson to center. Bates will score. It's a 4-2 game. Lombard to second. Murphy to first. 2 for 4 with an RBI. One out in the inning, and the tying run is at first base, represented by the speedster Darson Murphy. So I think anything hit to a gap, especially to the wall, is easily going to score Murphy. Mike Tobin, first crack at it. First pitch swinging, a rolling ball down the third baseline, foul. 0 for 3 is Mike Tobin. He's due. Grounded out to shortstop, flew out to center field, and popped out to the third baseman. Tobin, again, I mentioned earlier, one of these great shortstops, and they're all young guys too. We could be looking at this outstanding group of shortstops for years to come in the Nova Scotia Senior Baseball League. That's foul. Of course, Ian Lockhart there in Kentville. I was talking to Russell Burton last week, one of the great local sport enthusiasts and historians and novelists in the region. He loves Chris Farrow from the Sooners. Raving about what a great player Farrow is. A shortstop for Sydney. Bouncing ball. Pelham couldn't get there, and then that was a tough play as well. Speaking of shortstops, for McKinnon. Not sure if he would have had an out, even if he had got to it. Basically, that was going to be Pelham, if anybody, and it just got past Josh. All right, bases loaded now. Murphy to second. Tobin to first on the single for Tobin. The fourth hit in the inning. A little infield single that got past Pellerin. And again, McKinnon wouldn't have had a play anywhere, even if he had fielded that clean. And they're going to go and talk to Haverstock. Bases loaded. Tying run at second. Go ahead run at first. And the number 3 hitter in the lineup, Chisholm, followed by Pellerin. So if you're a Bearcats fan, this is right where you want to be. At least in terms of situation. You're trailing by 2 runs, but you got the bases loaded, speed on the base paths, and your 3 and 4 men coming up with just 1 out. So first big moments of the game coming up here. Haverstock will stay out there, and we're going to look at Jeff Chisholm. 1 for 3 is Jeff. Had a single back in the 4th. Swung on, first pitch swinging, a high, deep ball to left field. Tagging and coming home is Lombard. He will score. The ball gets past Pelham. But Murphy will stay at second, basically conceding the run to Lombard and making sure Murphy stayed at second base. A sacrifice fly RBI for Lombard. And it is a 4-3 ball game. And the Bearcats still in business with Murphy and Tobin at second and first, 2 of their top speedsters. And Guy Pellerin, the number 4 man in the lineup, at the plate. Pellerin had a double and scored back in the second. 1 for 3 is Big Guy. Been driving in big runs for this Bearcats team for years. And there's a hot shot to center. It's going to get over the head of McKinnon. Coming home to score is Murphy. Tobin rounding third. They'll keep him right there. So McKinnon does well to get to that quickly. And they'll keep it a tie game. They had to keep Tobin at third base. So Tobin couldn't score from first on that deep fly ball. And we are tied up at 4. An RBI single for Pellerin. It had gap power and it got over the head of McKinnon. But then when it, off that first bounce off the grass, it really kind of was like a shot put. And McKinnon was able to track it down in a hurry. He got the throw in a hurry. Runners now at the corners. Normally with 2 outs, a hit like that would have scored 2. Well, here's John Chapman with a go-ahead run 60 feet away, or 90 feet away, sorry. One for 3 is John. Had a single and a stolen base back in the second inning. Being held on first base is Guy Pellerin. 2 outs. So they're going to hold on Pellerin at first. Try to keep him from taking that second base. Not a lot of speed for Pellerin. Timeout called for John Chapman. So the Bearcats get to Haverstock in the 7th. 5 hits in the inning. They've just singled him to death. 5 singles. Reaching out, poking it to second. Ferguson a play. He'll go to second base. And the shortstop McKinnon. They'll get Pellerin 4-6. Chapman again, that's his second straight fielder's choice to finish off an inning. But the Bearcats on 5 hits get 3 runs. 1 left on. through 7. We are tied up at 4. The Bearcats and the Canadians going to the 8th inning in a tied baseball game on Aliant Community 1. All right, friends, welcome back to the TAC Rounds here in Truro. We're getting ready to start the 8th inning, a brand new ball game. 4-4, the Cats and the Canadians. Hot shot right up the middle. Tobin ranges nicely to the second base side and throws out Pelham. I got a wicked bounce for Tobin. It looked like a heater that was going to get up the middle, but then took a big skip just before it left the infield grass. And Tobin got over to make a play on it. So Pelham out 6-3 to start off the 8th inning. That's fouled down the third baseline. Sean Walsh, the shortstop, had 2 RBIs back in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. Or Walsh, the catcher, sorry. 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs. I was just about to build on that shortstop conversation again. There's a high fly ball into a tough part of the field, but coming in to make the catch is Chisholm. So nicely done by Chisholm. Got a good jump and called for it. Makes the catch. But we just saw Tobin with that play, but you got Tobin for this Bearcats team, Farrell, who I mentioned earlier for the Sooners. They got Matt Dudelay, who's really playing well for the Dartmouth Moosehead Drive, fielding and hitting. And then, of course, you got the standard in the league, Ian Lockhart there in Kentville. Folks in Kentville will tell you he's one of the best shortstops in senior baseball in the country. That's hit the left center. Should be no problem for Chisholm. 1-2-3 for the Canadians. Quickly, about 2 minutes there. No hits, no errors, none left on base. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning on Aliant Community 1 with the Bearcats now tied up with the Canadians. And Bates and Mingo coming up. right, we're back at it here at the TAC rounds, the bottom of the 8th inning. Great ball game, now tied up, we're cruising along. Great pitching. Defense, a bit of spotty at times. However, as mentioned earlier, the field is a little bit choppy out there as well. They had a lot of rain last night, so there are some rough spots in the field. That pitch went just out, or swinging and missing that pitch is Dan Bates. Sacrifice fly RBI in the 2nd inning. 1 for 3 is Dan. To second. A chance for Ferguson. And no problem for Ferguson. Bates out 4-3. As mentioned, Aaron Ferguson in his first year stepping in for Adam Lucas. A long-time second baseman for the Canadians. First pitch swinging. And coming up underneath is Ryan Bates. Ryan had a single and scored back in that pivotal 7th inning for the Bearcats. That's been their signature inning. 3 runs on 5 singles. Might have another one here, right up the middle. A slow rolling ball that gets to center field and gets through the legs of McKinnon. And that'll give an extra base to Ryan Bates. Just a simple mental error out there for McKinnon. Just didn't get down on it, and it scooted through his legs. So tough luck for Brendan. A single and an error. And put Ryan Bates at second. A slow rolling ball that just sneaks through the wickets on Brandon McKinnon. There's Matt Mingo. Swung on, short left field, and just on the cusp of the outfield grass is Mike Tobin to make the catch. Or McKinnon, sorry, to make the catch. So 2 outs. Still a runner in scoring position. Here's Adam Lombard. Good lead at second. Oh, another time. Haverstock comes inside, and that's the second Bearcat hitter to knock one off that inner ankle calf area on the front leg. Lombard will take some time and now dig back in. 2 for 3 is Lombard, and he scored a run back in the 7th. The 0-1. Swung on, and that's going to get down. Coming around, the throw is coming to home, and scoring is Ryan Bates. Just falling in front of the left fielder, Paul Davey. And Lombard with an RBI single, and now the Bearcats lead 5-4. And they can close this one out in the top of the 9th. An RBI single for Lombard. Bates scoring. And now here's Darcy Murphy. Murphy had a single and an RBI and scored a run in the 7th. 2 for 4 is Darcy. Good speed in the form of Lombard. It was 4-1 for the Canadians heading into the 7th inning, bottom of the 7th. Now 5-4 for Truro. High in the air to center field. McKinnon should be a can of corn. It is. But a costly McKinnon error. Scooted through the wickets. A soft rolling ball that gave Ryan Bates an extra bag. And then scoring was Bates on the soft outfield single by Adam Lombard. So 2 hits, 1 left on, 1 run scores, and 1 critical error. And that could be, that's your major storyline right now. That could be the ball game as we head to the top of the 9th inning. A 5-4 lead for the Bearcats. All right, so the Canadians coming up here. Steve Murphy, Aaron Ferguson, and then at the top of the order for Paul Davey. And John Chapman will go out there to try to close it out. We've had a little bit of everything in this game. Timely hitting. Both pitchers getting on a roll at different times of the game. Constantly errors. For the most part, a well-played game. That has cruised along. Great umpiring. On a beautiful day. Now we're looking at the final chapter here in the top of the 9th. Steve Murphy, Aaron Ferguson, Paul Davey to dig in against John Chapman. Murphy 1 for 3. First pitch strike. Murphy had a double back in the 6th inning. To short, a chance for Tobin. Fields it cleanly. Throw is spot on. And Murphy's out 6-3. Now that is a death sentence. Anything in that range of Mike Tobin. There's a walking vacuum cleaner out there at shortstop. Aaron Ferguson. 0 for 3, and now Darson Murphy fields it cleanly. The throw across, and the Canadians are down to their final out. The Canadians are used to playing in these types of ball games. They, of course, the last time they were with us, 2 weeks ago when we were in Kentville, Halifax was the visiting team, and they stole one from the Wildcats on that day. Then beat the Wildcats again by 1 run 2 days later back at Mainland Common. It seems like every time the Canadians play, the score is 5-4. Yeah, that is the case, but they're trailing by 1. Bouncing ball gets past Chapman, a chance for Tobin to finish it off. He does! Bearcats win on Kids Day at Tack Grounds. Good times in Truro. Boys in Black got here around 9 a.m. this morning to get ready. They had a fun day with the kids all day. And then pull it out in the bottom innings. And they'll send Halifax back to the city with a loss. And they'll send the local fans here at the Tack Grounds home, celebrating a 5-4 win for their boys of summer. All right, so your final score here from the Tack Grounds, 5-4, the Bearcats beat the Canadians. Winning pitcher is John Chapman. Losing pitcher is Mark Haverstock. Teams shaking hands at home plate. Back on the air next Saturday, your Atlantic Senior Baseball Game of the Week. We're from beautiful Chatham, New Brunswick, the Miramichi Valley, the St. John Alpines versus the Chatham Ironmen in a doubleheader from historic, beautiful Ironman Park. So make sure you join us 1 week from today for Atlantic Senior Baseball from beautiful Miramichi. Your final score, the Bearcats 6, the Halifax Pelham Canadians 5. You've been watching a live presentation of Bell Aliant Community 1, your leader in local sports webcasting in Atlantic Canada. Thanks to Isabel Germain, our producer Drew DeMocas, Dan Hobson, and everybody here with the Bearcats who set us up throughout the day. We'll see you next week from Miramichi, but for now, good evening from Truro.